Your bridge collapses. Try crossing the rivers at a narrow point. You lose $10,000. Your bridge collapses. Reduce the length of your bridges to save time and money. You lose $25,000. Your bridge collapses. Reduce the length of your bridges to save time and money. You lose $50,000. We'll be laying our first track in Wadsworth, and we won't rest till we get to Winnemucca, 135 miles away. At $32,000 per mile, the government's forking over $4,320,000. All right, let's get this train moving. Wadsworth to Winnemucca. Low rainfall, high temperatures, and scarce food supplies. Your mission? Make it through the desert. Wadsworth. Building starts from Wadsworth on July 22, 1868. There's no more water or wood to fuel the engines as you cross the Nevada desert. Winnemucca lies 135 miles away from Wadsworth in a wide part of the Humboldt Valley. You have to cross barren Nevada desert to get there. Winnemucca! The people of Winnemucca throw a party to celebrate the arrival of the railroad to this part of Nevada. Lovelock is located in a marshy area rich in minerals and wildlife. It may be a good place to stock up on water. Lovelock is located in a marshy area rich in minerals and wildlife. You collect $100,000 by stocking up on water and fuel. Hot Springs Mountains. This steep range of granite mountains will require blasting. The Hot Springs Mountains are too steep for a cut or a gap. You lose $10,000. Well, we made a lot of noise and a lot of dust. Too bad we didn't blast away enough rock to make a path for the train. The granite that makes up Hot Springs Mountains is too hard for blasting powder. Lose $25,000. That's like trying to knock down a barn with a hammer. Good idea to build a tunnel. When a mountain is high and made of strong rock, it's better to go under it than over it. Nice tunnel. But if we do any more blasting, I'm going to need a new set of ears. With all this tunneling, I'm beginning to feel like a rabbit in a rabbit hole. That tunnel cost us $100,000. That's one expensive hole in the ground. But it's the only way through these mountains. The Trinity Range is a steep range of granite mountains. The blasting will be tough going here. The mountains in the Trinity Range are too steep for a cut or gap. You lose $10,000. The Trinity Range is too hard for blasting powder. You lose $25,000. That's like trying to cut your steak with a feather. A tunnel's the ticket for the Trinity Range. With all this crawling around underground, I'm forgetting what the sun looks like. With all this blasting, we're an earthquake on wheels. The only thing tougher than building a railroad is building one underground. Hills. These are the scrubby foothills of the Trinity Range and should be easy to cross. Hills. These are the scrubby foothills of the Trinity Range and should be easy to cross. Good job. That nitro blasted the hills like an axe cutting through a loaf of bread. A nitroglycerin explosion injures some of your workers. Construction is stopped for safety inspections. It cost you $50,000. Ouch. Using nitro on these little hills is like scratching your foot with a shotgun. Success! Blasting powder made short work of those hills. That was easy. Let's move onward. These hills are steep, but not steep enough for a tunnel. You lose $100,000. There's no need to build a tunnel through little piles of dirt like these. Lake Winnemucca. Lake Winnemucca is a dry lake bed that always floods in the spring. Valuable ancient artifacts have been found in this region. Lake Winnemucca floods in the spring, and the results are disastrous. Your railroad goes bankrupt. I guess we should have taken a more direct path. The Truckee River is marshy and wide here. A flood during the spring washes out your deck bridge over the Truckee River. A flood during the spring washes out your wood trestle bridge. We did it! Though an iron trestle bridge is a safer bet for a river that floods like the Truckee, it looks like this wood bridge has done the trick. The river flooded, but our iron trestle bridge stood strong. Nice going. The Carson River is wide here and surrounded by some marshes. The river floods during the spring and washes out your deck bridge over the Carson River. Well, the bridge held up in the spring floods, but an iron trestle bridge would have been a safer choice. Our iron trestle bridge just laughed at those spring floods. Nice going. The 40-mile desert is the fastest way through this area, but water is scarce, and the temperature can soar to over 100 degrees. 40-mile desert. This is the last chance to stock up on water and wood before entering the 40-mile desert. You will need 1,000 gallons of water and 800 yards of wood per mile. The men are grumbling over having to carry excess water and fuel. Progress slows. You lose $10,000. Guess you can have too much of a good thing. It's hot out there, but we're doing well on water and fuel. The men are thirsty, and some are grumbling that they're running out of fuel. What do you want to do about it? Wild Bill must have figured wrong. The cool desert night makes working easier, but wood is very scarce. We'll have to make railroad ties out of cactus. Supplies are scarce, and water has run out. The railroad goes bankrupt. A few men collapsed from heat stroke. Let's plan better next time. Water can be seen up ahead, but it's only a mirage. The railroad goes bankrupt. Tomahawk should have known better. Any water in this desert would have dried up a long time ago. Well, let's try again. Carrying extra supplies continues to slow your progress. You lose $20,000. 400,000 gallons of water gets very heavy. You packed well. Our water and wood are holding out. Good work. The workers have run out of wood for fuel and railroad ties. The railroad goes bankrupt. Not enough wood left to make a toothpick. Carrying extra supplies continues to slow progress. Lose $20,000. We've got enough wood to build us a forest in the middle of the desert. Company bonus. The workers have just enough wood and water to cross the desert. For good decision making, collect $100,000. We've made it through with barely a hitch. Good going. Carson Sink. There are sloughs everywhere around the Carson Sink. The earth here is soft. Carson Sink. The workers are thirsty, and there are sloughs everywhere around the Carson Sink. What should the workers do? All the workers get sick from drinking alkali water, except the Chinese. They boil it first for their tea and stay healthy. You lose $10,000. The workers grumble about drinking hot tea in the desert, but boiling made the alkali water safe. Progress improves. You collect $25,000. The workers start dropping from heat stroke, except the Chinese. They boil the alkali water for tea and stay healthy. You lose $10,000. There are sloughs everywhere around the Humboldt Sink. The earth here is soft. The workers are thirsty, and there are sloughs everywhere around the Humboldt Sink. What should the workers do? All the workers get sick from drinking alkali water, except the Chinese. They boil it first for their tea and stay healthy. You lose $10,000.
The workers start dropping from heat stroke except the Chinese. They boil the alkali water for tea and stay healthy. You lose $10,000.
The Humboldt River is very small and narrow. It disappears into the ground near the Humboldt Sink. Good choice. This river is barely a stream. The deck plate bridge holds up well. That wood trestle bridge is long enough to cross the river about 10 times. We spent $50,000 to cross a stream we could have crossed with half a deck bridge. Next time we need to cross a tiny river, let's use something cheaper. The Black Rock Desert is one of the hottest places in the country. The black refers to lava deposits there, which absorb the sun's heat. Black Rock Desert. Freak flash floods wipe out track. Repairs cost $45,000. Black Rock Desert. The hot days and cool nights cause the rails to bend. Repairs cost $45,000. Salt Flats. This area is dry and flat and easy to build on. There is danger of windstorms. Tracks may warp with extreme temperature changes. Salt Flats. Windstorms on the salt flats cover the tracks. Digging out costs $10,000. Salt Flats. The hot days and cool nights cause the rails to bend. Repairs cost $45,000. They call those snake rails. Salt Flats. The area is hot, but there's great progress because the salt flats are so flat. You collect an extra $50,000. Ranches. The cattle ranchers in this area may want the railroad to take their cattle to market. This could mean big business for your railroad. Ranches. The cattle ranchers in this area pay your railroad to take their cattle to market. Collect $50,000 in the long run. That's a lot of money for a few cows. Your bridge collapses. You can't build a bridge there. You lose $10,000. Your bridge collapses. You can't build a bridge there. You lose $25,000. Your bridge collapses. You can't build a bridge there. You lose $50,000. With the desert in front of us, we'll have to plan carefully. Otherwise, we'll be eating rattlesnake and drinking cactus juice. Well, the desert's flat, so it'll be easy to build, but there's not a cup of water or a tree for 40 miles. We'll have to plan this just right. 135 miles. Whew. Well, at least I can work on my tan when we cross that desert. Congratulations, we made it! After all that desert, I could use a sarsaparilla soda. When there's a marshy area, you're sure to find water. All right! Of course, we'll need a level road over these hills before we can lay any rails. Even though there's no water here now, there's no telling what might happen when the rains come. Poor little bridge. Didn't stand a chance. The floods turned that trestle bridge into a pile of soggy splinters. The floods took out that bridge like it was made out of paper and string. Sounds like a bad place for a vacation. But we need to get to the other side. The water's for thirsty workers, and even thirstier locomotives. The wood's for fuel and railroad ties. There's water in those sloughs. Water! I can walk across the Humboldt without getting the tops of my boots wet. Luckily, though, it's flat here, and there's no one around to bother us. But I hear this desert hides a few dangers, too. Of course, salt flats are flat, and there's no one around to bother us. But I hear this desert hides a few dangers, too. A desert is a dry region that has a limited population of specially adapted plants and animals.
A desert is a dry region that has a limited population of specially adapted plants and animals.
Winnemucca means one moccasin. It's the name of the local Paiute chief. Lovelock is named after George Lovelock, an Englishman who runs a stage station there. Granite is a strong igneous rock used for buildings and monuments. That's because it's so hard, and that means it's going to be a pain in the neck to blast. Foothills are the low hills found at the base of a mountain range. In caves by Lake Winnemucca, archaeologists have found ancient duck decoys, human bones, and cave paintings, even ancient camel bones. Some of these dwellings are 11,000 years old. The 40-mile desert is a barren stretch of waterless wasteland. Nothing comes out in the daytime. Not even the animals that live here. The Carson Sink is salty and alkali. The water's not fit for drinking. Sloughs are everywhere, and the earth is soft. The sink is salty and alkali. Sloughs are everywhere, and the earth is soft. The Humboldt Sink is salty and alkali. The water's not fit for drinking. Sloughs are everywhere, and the earth is soft. The Humboldt River is the only river in the whole area to run east-west, not north-south. Salt flats are flat, white regions of land. The white comes from the salty alkali on the ground. The ranchers sometimes hire Basque sheep herders from Europe who wander the scrubby hills with their flocks. They know the lay of the land completely, but speak no English. On October 31st, 1864, Abraham Lincoln proclaimed Nevada the 36th state of the Union. Congratulations, Nevada! On October 31st, 1864, Abraham Lincoln proclaimed Nevada the 36th state of the Union. Way to go, Nevada! Minerals are metals and other materials taken out of the earth, like gold, silver, copper, and mercury. The desert can be a dangerous place. In 1850, settlers counted over 9,000 horse, mule, and cattle skeletons, and 953 graves. Let's not make it 954. Sloughs are places filled with deep mud. There are many ancient woven baskets in the area around the Humboldt Sink. Some are thousands of years old and were obviously made by the Washoe. Black Rock Desert. The desert is hot, but there's great progress over flat land. Earn an extra $50,000. The name Hot Springs may mean there's water in those mountains. With water there, we may do better crossing the mountains than the desert. I just don't know. One minute the bridge was over the river. Next minute it was under. River floods come during the spring and wash out your wood trestle bridge.
I don't much like deserts, but the way I see it, it's the only way through that makes sense. Those Chinese workers are worth their weight in gold. That water doesn't look so good, but some Chinese workers used it for tea and said it was fine. Wadsworth, Nevada. Track laying through the desert is going to be rough. There won't be another place to obtain supplies until we get through the desert, and that could be too late. Keep going in the daytime. We can't afford to take days off. The quicker we get across the desert, the quicker we'll be near water. You won't find me turning into a skeleton in that desert. We'll take 400,000 gallons of water and 320,000 yards of wood. Oh, this always happens to me. Last time I went on vacation, I packed 50 pairs of spurs. The 40-mile desert stretches a good part of the way between Wadsworth and Lovelock. There's no water there, and the temperature can get well above 100 degrees. It's the fastest way between the 2 points, however, and there are no mountains to cross. Winnemucca was named after this Paiute chief. His daughter Sarah later became chief in her own right. More than anything, she wanted peace between her people and the whites who settled on Indian homelands. She lectured, wrote a book, and founded a school for Indian children. I got a photo of a stagecoach pulling into George Lovelock's station. They're stopping at the saloon for a whiskey. Bad stuff, whiskey. Makes men go mad in the head. The marshy banks of the Truckee sometimes flood in the spring. There may be water, and who knows, even gold in these mountains. But they sure are hard to climb. Miners like this one are scrambling to reach the Trinity Range. This one is cradling for gold using a rocker. That just means he's trying his best to shake non-gold away from the gold. Lake Winnemucca is an area rich in archaeological finds. Here are some of the Indian relics I spotted near the lakefront.
The marshy banks of the Carson River sometimes flood in the spring.
These hills are covered with tough little plants and trees called scrubs. The only scenery in these parts are the skeletons of the animals that didn't make it. I told this man to stock up on water before heading across the desert. He made sure his horse had a refreshing drink too. Don't know what happened to them. I hope they made it. We have to drag everything along with us through the desert. It's pretty exhausting and time-consuming, to tell you the truth. A local rhyme I overheard. The Humboldt sink may tempt you to drink, but before you do, I'd stop and think. Here's what the locals say. The Carson sink may tempt you to drink, but before you do, I'd stop and think. Windstorms on the salt flats are a very bad thing. The salt kicks up and covers everything. You can barely breathe.
Oh, that desert ain't so bad. It's hot, but it's flat and straight. The railroad will build itself.
Many ranchers love the idea of a railroad. That's because the railroad will make it easier for them to bring their cattle to market.
I've done seen lots of minerals near Lovelock. I found traces of gold, silver, copper, mercury, tungsten, gypsum, sulfur, platinum, and manganese.
Here's our worker camp along the Humboldt River. I've heard that of the 250,000 people who went west between 1840 and 1860, more than 200,000 of them came along the Humboldt River. It was the greatest peacetime emigration in history.
I think I see water up ahead, shining in the sand. Let's push ahead and stock up. With 40,000 gallons of water and 32,000 yards of wood, we'll make it to the other side in one piece. Now, if only I'd remembered my toothbrush. Ooh, this water's alkali. That's a fancy word for dangerous. But there's nothing fancy about the way it kills you. Good decisions are my specialty.
Let's go along the mountains to the south and head north after we cross the Humboldt River. I hate sand in my boots.
Tea? Mountain men don't drink tea. I'll take the heat stroke.
Hot Springs Mountains. Haven't been up there, but it sounds like there's water there, and in this part of the country, anywhere with water is a welcome sight to me. Just met George Lovelock, the man they named this town after. Runs the stagecoach station. We played poker, and I beat him with a pair of aces. I was afeard for a second he was going to beat me. With a stick. Lake Winnemucca is as dry as a bone this time of year. You know, a local showed me an ancient duck decoy used for hunting. Hundreds, heck, probably thousands of years ago. Rattlesnakes and scorpions throughout Trinity Range. I don't mind them, but the workers are the ones doing all the digging. The desert is a dangerous place. Locals done counted over 9,000 horse, mule, and cattle skeletons in these parts, not to mention 953 graves. Human graves. 40 miles of desert? We'll take 4,000 gallons of water and 3,200 yards of wood, and if we have any left over, we'll just build us a swimming hole. You know, these days are too hot for working. I say we sleep when it's sunny and work when it's dark. Well, heck, I mean, if all these men didn't drink so dang much. Mud everywhere, but where there's mud, there's water. This ain't hard to figure out. If you see water in a desert, you drink it before it dries up altogether. That water didn't taste so good. I feel funny. This ain't hard to figure out. If you see water in a desert, you drink it before it dries. That water didn't taste so good. I feel funny. Whew, it's hotter in this desert than any other I ever been to. Locals say it's the black sand. Absorbs the heat of the sun or some such nonsense. Think about it. You're a cattle rancher in the frontier and the railroad is coming your way. Don't you think you'd use it to transport your cattle to market? And don't you think you'd pay dearly for that privilege? Weird landscape. It almost sparkles like diamonds. Wonder if there are diamonds here.